Imagine waking up and feeling that something is wrong, even before you open your eyes. It wasn't a nightmare. It was that pressure in your chest, like your body knew the truth before your mind did. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Mensajes. Missed calls. Notifications I didn't understand. When I finally looked at the screen, the first thing I saw was a message that said, "We need to talk. It's serious." He thought it was an exaggeration. She always did that. She, my best friend, had a habit of dramatizing everything, or so I believed. Half an hour later, I was sitting in front of two people who weren't looking at me the way they always had. There were no smiles, no trust, not even the slightest benefit of the doubt. Used cold, assessing stares. As if I were already guilty and they were only waiting for me to admit it. "We know it was you," one of them said, sliding his phone across the table. There it was. My name. My photo. My signature. Evidence so clear it felt ridiculous to deny. I felt my world slipping through my fingers. That's not possible," I managed to say. "He didn't do anything." The silence that followed was worse than any shout. Then the door opened. And she walked in. My best friend. The person who knew my schedules, my fears, my most embarrassing secrets. The one who had been there during my darkest moments. The one who promised me, more than once, that she would never leave me alone. "Calm down," she said, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Everything will be cleared up." But she didn't look me in the eyes. It was a tiny detail. Almost invisible. If I hadn't known her for years, I wouldn't have noticed. That's when I felt it. Something was terribly wrong. While they talked, my mind raced. Every recent memory began rearranging itself like pieces of a macabre puzzle, seemingly innocent conversations, out-of-place questions, moments when she insisted on helping me with things I never asked for. And then I saw it. The key piece of evidence. The one that supposedly incriminated me. It was too perfect. Todo personal. Todo me. Only one person in the world could have put something like that together without raising suspicion. He swallowed hard and looked up. She was still smiling. And in that moment, I understood something that froze my blood. She wasn't there to save me. She was there to make sure I went down. At first, I kept thinking that at any moment someone would laugh and say it was all a mistake. That they had mixed up names, dates, faces. That happens in movies, right? But no one laughed. The hours that followed blurred into repeated questions, judgment-filled looks, and suffocating silences. Every time I denied the accusation, it felt like I was digging myself deeper. It didn't matter what I said, the story had already been written, and I was the villain. The worst part wasn't the accusation itself. It was realizing that no one doubted it. My family started looking at me differently. At work, messages went unanswered. Friends who had defended me yesterday now said they preferred to stay out of it. And she was everywhere. She sat beside me during questioning. Handed me water. Said things like, "I know her, she's going through a really hard time." It sounded like support. But every sentence had a crack in it. She's been under a lot of stress lately. She's had money problems. She told me she felt capable of anything. Each word was another stone on my grave. One night, while rereading the messages they had shown as evidence, something made me stop. It was a conversation I was supposed to have had days before the crime. The words were mine, or at least they looked that way. They used my expressions. My emojis. Even the spelling mistakes I made without noticing. It was a perfect imitation. But there was one detail. One message had been sent at an impossible time. At that hour, I had been with her. Together. I remembered it clearly because it was the day she cried on my couch, saying she felt alone and betrayed by everyone. By everyone except me, she had said. A chill ran through me. If that message was fake, how many others were too? I barely slept that night. Every memory of our friendship turned suspicious. The times she asked for my passwords just in case. When she used my computer for just a second. When she insisted I back everything up to the cloud to be safe. It wasn't take care. It was preparation. The next morning, I confronted her carefully. Things don't add up, I said. You were with me that day. She looked at me with sadness. With disappointment. I wish I could help you, she whispered, but I can't lie for you. That's when I understood something devastating. She hadn't just framed me. She was also building the perfect image of herself as the victim, and me as the absolute culprit. After she left, I checked my phone one more time. And that's when I saw it. A file I didn't remember creating. With my name, my style, and a recent modification. My hands started shaking. Because that file didn't just have the power to save me. It proved that someone had been using my life as a weapon against me. At first, I tried to convince myself I was overreacting. That my mind, cornered and desperate, was inventing villains just to survive. But that file didn't lie. He hadn't created it. Yet it carried my name, my voice, my way of thinking. He began reconstructing the days before everything fell apart like a crime scene. Hour by hour. Message by message. And the more I uncovered, the more terrifying the truth became. Nothing had been accidental. She knew exactly when I was alone. When I let my guard down. When I trusted without questioning. I remembered the time she insisted I leave my session open just for a moment. The day she asked me to forward her an email because it didn't arrive. The night she laughed and said, "If I ever did something bad, you'd be the perfect person to cover for me." He laughed. She didn't. Every memory snapped into place like pieces of a sick puzzle. The plan was brilliant in its cruelty. She used my routines to build false alibis. My words to manufacture confessions. My weaknesses to predict every move I would make once accused. She knew how I would defend myself, and she used it against me. The most twisted part was understanding why no one questioned it. She had planted the seeds long before. Casual comments. Fake concern. Subtle warnings for my own good. She hasn't been herself lately. She's changed so much. I'm scared she might do something she'll regret. By the time the bomb exploded, the ground had already been prepared. Meanwhile, I was falling apart. I started doubting myself. Wondering if I had done something and blocked it out. Feeling guilty for a crime I didn't commit. That was the darkest part of her plan. She didn't just want to destroy my reputation, she wanted to break my mind. But then something happened she hadn't anticipated. He found an older version of the file. A previous copy. The difference was tiny. Almost invisible. But enough. Someone had edited it after I lost access to my account. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. That was proof. Real proof. But it was also dangerous. Because if I could see the full shape of the plan, she could see that I was starting to understand it. That night, I got a message from her. "Are you okay? You seem distant." I read it 3 times. I didn't reply. And for the first time since everything began, I didn't feel fear. I felt something far more dangerous. Determination. I learned quickly that the truth isn't always shouted. Sometimes, it survives by staying quiet. I replied to her message hours later, casual, familiar, as if nothing had changed. I told her a small, harmless lie. She believed it. I knew she did because she relaxed, leaned back into the role she thought she still controlled. Meanwhile, I moved in silence. I saved everything. Old versions, logs, timestamps, access records, screenshots, backups, notice. Every detail mattered. I couldn't afford a single mistake. When Ron moved and she would rewrite the story again. The hardest part was pretending. Sitting across from her while she told me she was worried about me. Watching her cry at exactly the right moments. Listening as she talked about loyalty, about friendship, about how she would stand by me until the end. And I nodded. But I didn't see her the same way anymore. Now I noticed the calculated gestures, the precise pauses, the way she steered every conversation where she wanted it to go. She never improvised. She never had. Then an unexpected ally appeared. Someone who owed me nothing. Someone who had noticed inconsistencies early on, but hadn't been heard. That person confirmed what I feared. She had told 2 different versions of the same story, depending on who was listening. It wasn't enough to win. But it was enough to plant doubt. The danger grew. I felt her watching me more closely. Measuring my reactions. Studying my silences. Time was running out. The final piece surfaced when I least expected it. A forgotten record. A digital trace she couldn't erase. There it was, timestamps, laggings, edits. Not suspicion. A direct line to her. I stared at the screen, knowing that this file could change everything, or destroy me completely. Because exposing her meant facing it all, her story, her performance, her network of lies. That night, as I saved the last copy, my phone buzzed. A message from her. "Tomorrow we need to talk. It's time to tell the truth." I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because this time, the truth wasn't hers anymore. We sat across from each other like we had so many times before. Same table. Same chairs. But this time, the story had changed. She spoke first. Of course she did. Her speech was ready, polished, rehearsed, perfectly timed. She talked about disappointment, about pain, about how she never thought I would go this far. I let her finish. When I looked up, I saw something new in her eyes, certainty. She was sure she had already won. Then I placed my phone on the table. "Before you continue, there is something you need to see." Her expression didn't change. Not yet. Until I slid the screen toward her. Dates. Times. Access logs. The silence hit like a blow. "That's impossible," she said. "Someone must have manipulated that." "Yes," I replied. "You." For the first time since everything began, she lost control. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. But her hands shook. Just enough. One by one, the facts spoke for themselves. The conflicting stories. The edits. The traces she couldn't erase because she never believed I would get this far. No one interrupted. No one needed to. The truth didn't they need help. When it was over, there were no apologies. Just one question, barely whispered. Why? It wasn't the jealousy. It wasn't the hatred. It was worse. She wanted my life. My stability. My place. And when she couldn't have it, she decided to take it from me. My name was clear. The looks changed. Doors opened again. But something was permanently broken. Not inside me, inside my trust. She vanished from my life as if she had never existed. No goodbyes. No redemption. Only the weight of what she had done. He moved on. Stronger. More aware. Because I survived something not everyone sees coming. Betrayal by the person who knows you best. And if this story leaves you with one truth, let it be this. Not every trap is set by an enemy. Some are built by the ones who call you friend.